it's kind of weird that this would be the number one story, but when we look at what Biden did the other day by pardoning his son, I mean, any of us who have kids understand the desire to pardon your kid. It's much deeper than that, of course. In this case, it's pardoning the entire family for all their discretions, and it's the fact that it makes the country, or it makes the this last 4 years seem like everything has been a lie. Everything has been a lie, and the way that he handled this, not only after saying he was not going to do it, but then to only pardon his son weeks before he leaves office, and then get on a plane and head off to Africa, leaving, the whole Democratic Party to deal with the fallout. It's just the whole thing is a lie, and it bothers me a lot. But then I come across a story that just puts a cap on how awful this administration is. And look, I'm a patriot. I'm so proud to be an American. I thank God every day I was born in this country. And the things that have happened during the last 4 years, which I coined conveniently "too stupid to be stupid," I mean, I think I was right in many respects, and we were being lied to. And when I look at this story, it almost makes me physically ill when I think about it. So I want to read to you I'm going to read it. It's a few paragraphs. And it's from Fox News. It's South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham, who's part of the problem, if you ask me, in many respects. Even though he is a Republican, he is part of what has made this country
Uniparty. Yeah, he's a
yeah,
uniparty
it's
Republican.
just it's what's wrong with the country. It's what's wrong with the government. So I want to read this to you and get your opinion, because I look at it and I get almost viscerally nauseous. He says that the war in the Ukraine is all about money, and he was on Sean Hannity's show. And he says the United States stands to financially gain from Ukraine's vast agricultural sector and $2 to $7 trillion worth of rare earth minerals, alike in a prospective wartime deal with the war-torn, albeit resource-wealthy nation. This war is about money, he says. People don't talk much about it, but the richest country in all of Europe for rare earth minerals is Ukraine. $2 to $7 trillion worth of minerals that are rare earth minerals, very relevant to the 21st century, Graham declared. Ukraine's ready to do a deal with us, not the Russians. So it's in our interest to make sure that Russia doesn't take over that place. Ukraine is the breadbasket of the developing world, Graham must. 50% of the food going to Africa comes from Ukraine. Graham also emphasized that the incoming Trump administration is uniquely positioned to cash out on such resources. Cash out. I mean, Donald Trump is going to do a deal to get our money back. Our money back. That's interesting. To enrich ourselves with rare earth minerals. A good deal for the Ukraine and for us. And he's going to bring peace. I mean, if that doesn't make you want to puke, I don't know what does. First of all, we've given them over $200 billion with no congressional oversight. Another $750 million, as just the other day, parting shot as he's leaving office, to get our money back. We've destroyed the country. It's a proxy war that we shouldn't have anything to do with. We've destroyed their country, killed I don't know how many tens of thousands of their men. So we kill millions of their people. We destroy. There's a lady that my family has become close with, who owned a business in the Ukraine, and now she has become close to our family. Her and her husband had to move here just because, and they're barely scraping by, and they owned a thriving business while in the Ukraine. So we go there, would destroy the country. It reminds me of Iraq. Go there looking for weapons of mass destruction, destroy the country completely and totally, kill millions of people, topple the regime. Sorry, we didn't find what we were looking for. I mean, it's about as full of shit gets. And we're still there 20 years later, occupying their country, keeping an eye on Iran and tapping into their natural resources. Well, sounds very familiar, doesn't it? Here we are, we go there, we shouldn't be there, we've destroyed their country. We're giving them what is tantamount to to declaring war on Russia, because if it were the other way around, people would think they're declaring war on us. If it was us in a war with Mexico and Russia had given Mexico $200 million, given them, MiG jets and Stinger missiles and now long range missiles that are flying into the breadbasket of the United States into Kansas, uh, you know, where's the outrage, right? So, you know, the outrage around the globe is misplaced and pointing it at everyone else. It should be pointed at us for what we're doing here. This is not about patriotism. This is not about the Ukrainian sovereignty or their best interests. It's about pillaging their natural resources and keeping our thumb on Russia, just like we did in Iraq, and keeping our thumb on Iran. And when you hear a guy like this say it's just about money and their natural resources, you know, it's enough to make me want to throw up, Danny. And I think it is why I think there is this euphoria surrounding a Trump administration. And in watching other people talk about the Trump administration, I just pray for the guy's life. I do. I hope that he is able to make these changes and to see things through, because he's certainly going to upset a lot of people. And the military industrial complex, the folks at the CIA, and the establishment, the deep state, they all want his head on a platter if he does the things he wants to do. But this kind of shit needs to end. For us to have this holier than thou empirical, image that we do no wrong. And look at what we're doing here. We've destroyed this beautiful country, killed millions of people, and it's all in the pursuit of pillaging their natural resources and keeping our thumb on Russia. And I don't know, to me, that's front and center. And I think I don't even know where I want to go with it other than to say I reflect upon it. I have been for the last 24 hours since I read this story in just disgust. I don't know how you feel about that, but I think so much about this current regime, who, like I said, has done more to destroy this country than any external foe ever could have done. And this is just part and parcel to why I feel that way. America. I think gold has to be figured into the equation, and I really do. When all of the central banks in the world are buying gold, they're not all buying Bitcoin. And what would happen if, for whatever reason, you see a massive dumping of treasuries, for whatever reason, and the rest of the world dumps treasuries? What does that do to the balance sheet of USDT, to Tether, and the USDC? What does that do to the crypto market? I don't know. I think it's somewhat dangerous. And when you talk about, for example, the way that Trump phrased it was not to go out and buy more Bitcoin. He's talking about the Bitcoin that they've already confiscated, from whatever nefarious actors, and to use it to pay off the debt. Now, Cynthia Loomis, the senator from Wyoming, said, let's revalue the gold that the Federal Reserve is holding on behalf of the Treasury, the 8,330 metric tons. Let's revalue it. And as I've said on your show before, it's held in the name of an account called the Gold Revaluation Account. You can't make that up. Same thing with all the central banks, where, as I mentioned before, the head of the Dutch National Bank continuously is pounding the table on revaluing gold and using it to offset their balance sheet. Well, she says, and she's already floated a bill, I don't know where it is in Congress, but to revalue the price of gold and to use the increased value portion of it to buy more Bitcoin to fund a strategic Bitcoin account. But it's almost like the talking heads say, look, we've pissed off the world. They don't really want, and they're not buying our treasuries the way we need them to. In fact, right now, the majority of treasuries are being purchased by the UK, another broke country buying the debt of an even more broke country. Well, that doesn't make much sense. Ireland and the Cayman Islands, really? I got a bridge to sell you if you believe that's all legit. Jim Willey will tell you that the Fed is funneling money under the table of these entities to have them buy our treasuries. I did an interview with Tom Luongo the other day, and he thinks that the UK and Davos has been running a psyop against the West and trying to bring it down to its knees, us and Russia, and to reset the system favoring the United Kingdom and parts of the European Union, that they'll then fight over the pieces. The goal is to bring down the United States and Russia. I mean, there's so many theories bouncing all over the place, so many. But the bottom line with all of this is that no, I don't think that um, you're going to see the dollar become the Bitcoin dollar. I don't, but I do think that it offers a great utility to help prop up the system right now, to help the system from imploding, and to give it greater stability. What does it mean for the long term? I'm not quite sure. I'm not. I don't have a problem with owning Bitcoin. I own a little bit of it. It's I don't have anywhere near the confidence in it that I do with gold and silver. And look, gold and silver have outlived every challenge that's ever been thrown at them. And people can call it archaic, a relic of a system that's gone by, but it's not. It represents, it's the number two largest asset owned by all of the central banks in the world, surpassing the euro, which for the first time ever. So it's dollars, it's gold, and then it's euro. And so no, gold is I think it would be a big mistake by the West, and that's why James Rickards says if he were advising the Fed, this is a guy that goes to the CIA and advises them, and goes to the White House and advises them, and if it were him advising the Fed, it would be to front run and continue to buy gold, because this is their ability, the rest of the world, to settle outside the dollar by trading in local currencies and settling net result, not gross, but net, once a month or whatever, in gold. And to think otherwise, I think, is a mistake. But I do think that there will be a period of time, and I don't know what would derail it, where Bitcoin should probably attract a lot of attention, because it is stabilizing the bond market. The powers that be want it that way, but how does it ultimately end? Not sure. And what happens if there's a big debt implosion to Bitcoin as things start to sell off? I don't know. I'm just not as confident about it at all.